Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Ham Radio, dude. Thanks for checking out the channel. Recently, I was going through airport security at Midway Airport in Chicago, Illinois. While going through security, TSA has these 3D scanners that can scan your bag and see pretty much everything that's inside. Well, the 3D scanners alerted to the fact that I had something kind of weird in my bag, and so my bag got taken to the side. It ended up being a bio-NO battery, but they weren't sure what the cells were, and I could see where the confusion would be. When TSA opened up my bag to further investigate, my Icom IC-705 fell out of the bag because it was the first thing on the bag, and I'm thinking this isn't going to be good. However, Mike over at HamGear3d.com has recently sent me a protective case for the IC-705, and he wanted me to test it out. So this begins my testing of the Icom IC-705 protective case from HamGear3d. Today, we're just going to discuss really quickly a few things that I noted about this case while I was on my travels to Las Vegas and Area 51. When I first received the frame, I went onto a live stream, and at that live stream, I did an unboxing as well as a build. Now, during the build, I worked through some of the maybe troubles that I had installing or assembling the frame onto the IC-705. Michael reached out to me the next day and said, I see the troubles that you had and I can understand kind of where the confusion might be. I'm going to work to make the instructions better for the future. I thought that was top grade customer service where a business owner actually listens to the people who are using the product. While on the live stream, I wanted to replicate some sort of blunt force hitting this radio or the protective frame just to see what would occur, and it seemed to hold up fine during this test initially. And I should mention this isn't the first time that TSA has actually opened my bag and the radio has fallen out. In the future, I should probably come up with a better positioning or place to hold my radio so that doesn't occur. But the radio fell and it was only just a small fall. Regardless, still, the frame was fine and there's no cracks or anything along those lines. And to show you that this case should protect your radio from small drops, I went ahead and dropped it a couple times in my patio, as you could see. I inspected the frame after dropping this, and there were no apparent issues with the actual frame or the radio itself. The radio itself is bound to move around in overhead storage or while traveling, being taken in and out of a bag multiple times. And the nice thing is this radio protective frame has a cover for the LCD. I always use a clear protective cover on my LCDs, but it's nice to have that extra layer of security, as you could see in this video. I probably would have had a lot of scratches on at least that cover, and if not, the LCD. Now I have to admit that going 20 miles down a dirt road, even if it's a smooth dirt road, is going to cause things to vibrate, and when things vibrate, they have the potential to come loose. And that was the case with these brackets that you see here. Now, the easy solution is one of two things. Either carry an Allen wrench with you or use Loctite inside of the threads that come on the protective frame. This frame still allows you easy access to your microphone inputs as well as your SD card and your USB inputs. But additionally, it allows you to put your accessories on the radio like the Wkirby IC-705 antenna release that you see here, as well as a tripod adapter due to a threaded hole on the bottom of the frame. Maybe you don't use a tripod with your IC-705. That's fine because the way the frame works is there's a 14-degree angle, which if you set this on a picnic table, it still gives you enough of a viewing angle to be able to see the LCD clearly. And this is actually really interesting. When I was testing this out, there was an undocumented feature, as we'll call this. And what it was is when I flipped the LCD open, I could set my cell phone on the LCD cover itself, and it sat there pretty nice. I assume with some kind of Velcro, you'll be able to get it to stay in place. And it would be nice to be able to use that for logging your contacts on your favorite logging app. Additionally, you could take that cover, and if it's sunny, you could bring the cover slightly down to maybe prevent some of the sun from coming into the screen, being able to see the screen better, essentially. Now, this next thing I'm going to show you doesn't seem to affect the overall integrity of the frame itself, but more just visually or cosmetically displeasing. As you can see here, when I move the handle for the frame itself, it seems to be rubbing against the two bolts, and that's causing just a couple of little scrapes here on the case itself. Again, I don't think it's a huge issue. And it could even be something that I did wrong and I'm just not aware of yet. So at about 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius, PLA2, which is the type of filament used to print this case, tends to start to warp. Now, during my testing in the desert, it was only about 75 degrees Fahrenheit, so not anywhere near 140 degrees, but I didn't have any issues with warping or the integrity of the case becoming brittle because of the heat. And it did sit in the trunk of the car for a good portion of the day while traveling. I'll go ahead and provide a link below to the product so you could see, and maybe if it's interesting to you, purchase this product. But my job here isn't to try to sell you a product as much as it is to show you some of the negatives and the positives that I saw in the frame when I used it. And the best thing I could recommend is that you watch the other YouTube videos on the reviews of this product to get an overall idea if this is something you might be interested in. If you have any questions, you could always ask them below. But until next time, I'm Ham Radio, dude. Thanks for checking out the channel. Thanks for watching 73.